So are we ready?
Are we ready? Yes, we are.
Okay, deep breath. Hello, Sophie. How are you doing?
Hi, Marianne. Well, I think it's going to be an intense day because we have some stuff to share together. Not really all positive, but some things that need to be just deal with. So let's start with you. How are you doing? Because we missed some weeks together, right?
I know it has been a while. So today I'm doing fairly well, but the last couple of weeks I have been struggling a little bit, which, well, it's not really true just the last couple of weeks. I think it's like an ongoing theme as you get a little bit older, looking at your life and go, okay, I spent all this time being involved in courses or thinking about things, and here I am and nothing has changed. Feeling very ineffective. And I think that's the right word. Just kind of getting that feeling, did I waste my time, if that makes sense?
No, yeah, completely.
Yeah.
As you know, I have every other week I have a meeting with empty nester mom, and we talk about a lot of topics. When you say that, okay, by this time in my life, I'm just kind of have a look on everything I did, as a wife, as a mother, as a worker. Did I make an impact in life? So I'm sure that we do, and sometimes we forget all the good we create, and for everything that we bring up. So let's take an example to be a little more clear in my mind, is that when we give the best of ourselves, let's say when we give values to our children, let's say we give values to our children, we don't know what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, for
Right?
sure.
We don't know what they're going to do with it, but we did from a place of love. We did with the best we could, but at some point it's not in our hands anymore. So it's very basics what I'm going to say, but I think we can relate with anything bigger than that. But I try to teach my children to eat healthy. So I hope I did a good job, and I think I did, because when I see how my older son is eating, he's cooking for himself, he's looking at what is healthy, not healthy. He can read a package, food, whatever. I think I did a good job, and so I'm proud of myself. Right? Yeah, good job, Sophie. And then I look at my second son, and I'm just horrified of what he's doing, and it's not. It's like I don't know if he grasps the importance of good food, healthy food. But at some point, I have to stop beating myself, because I did what I had to do. I gave my best. Now it is in his hand.
Yeah.
And I think also that at some point, all the values, I took food as an example, but all the value we give to our children, maybe they're not going to use them now, but maybe later is going to come. There is a part of really being at peace with ourselves, and then have faith.
I think, yeah, it's definitely I do have a hard time with. I mean, somewhat with my children, because we definitely have made different choices, but then everybody is also different. Like, as an example, I homeschooled my children because I think for several reasons. For one, school was a bad experience for me in many ways. I feel it kind of really destroyed my self-esteem in many ways, even so I went through everything and did higher education and all of those things. But I had been given an idea about myself as not being enough, which again, that's so many people struggle with, and especially women struggle with, right? I learned about homeschooling when my oldest son was 1 year old. So very early in my motherhood career, and kind of thought it was exciting, and we did, and it was great, and all of those things. It had consequences in terms of I wasn't building my own career during that time because, you have a lot of things to do. I mean, it gave freedom and it gave restrictions, but that's a different topic. That's not really what I want to talk about today necessarily. My kids were homeschooling for a while during COVID, but for them, it wasn't a long-term right decision because of like we ended up being unschoolers, meaning we followed interest and had a lot of fun. My children are more trying to bring the school home, which a lot of homeschoolers do, said they are very strict about a schedule and achievements and so forth. And then it becomes a lot more stressful. And so for them, it was the right choice to bring their children back to school, right?
Mhm.
So I definitely have those insights, right? But I think we kind of, like you said about the food and stuff like that, there are so many things which are really close to my heart and my mind right now. But what is huge on my consciousness is the environmental impact we are having. How the United States consumes, I don't know the exact numbers, but I have in my mind, and we might have talked about that before, I said European countries produce like 5 times as much waste and carbon and stuff like that than countries which don't have so much industrial development. And then the United States produces like 30 times more than Europe, or something like that. It's like a huge number. And it's something which is really on my mind, and I find it super hard not to be judgy when I see people which don't care, so, and I'm not just talking my children or my friends, which maybe that's a little bit closer, Amazon deliveries on a daily basis. And and I got even rid of the Amazon link on the other podcast I was doing because I was like, no, I don't want to support this empire of just crazy consumerism and also making one person super rich and somebody who is not conscientious towards their workers. And so I'm definitely going into the big picture here.
Yeah, and I think that's very something. But it's I think it's how we can impact more the life of the people. Is that yes, we want to help people to be conscious of not wasting. I was saying to my husband, when I was living in Germany, we were buying toothpaste, and there were no package. You would just bought the thing, right? And now when I buy something, why is there a package around my toothpaste? That drives me crazy, because the first thing you do, you put your toothpaste out of the package, and then you hope it's going to be in the recycle bin, because what you do. But after, when they pick up your trash, you don't know how they deal with it. So yeah, but you have a point, is that if we try to fight and really try to force the understanding to the people, right? Then it's like we are going against the wave, against the current of the river. Now you talk when you say, oh, that's a big picture, and you're right. The big picture is consumerism.
Right.
And does it make us more happy to receive something from Amazon every single day? Do we need it? Does it create a difference in our life, a true difference? Because that is where where the difference is going to be. And I think that even if sometimes we got frustrated, as I feel you are today, I think that more than the world is showing and be the example we want to see, you know.
Yeah, but I think that comes back looking at my life and going, oh, you know, was it all worth it? Because being the example, I make my life a lot harder than what people do, which just don't care, you know, because I compost everything I can compost. I'm very conscious about what I buy. I stress out, like you, that I can't buy things without packaging. And I do understand that packaging makes a huge consumer impact, that people, for the most part, buy with their eyes. And if it looks like more appealing, or if it looks bigger, then subconscious, they think we get a better deal, sorry. And it's hard to change that consumer consciousness. But I feel like I don't know. I think I'm one of those environmental depressive fatalists, that I feel we already have done so much damage, that, and I feel that for years that the time is now to change it.
Oh.
And I don't see the political will. I don't see people really getting it for the most part. Even so, my other podcast was a sustainable living podcast. And I could see even people which are talking about being sustainable, being actually consumers in sustainability, right? So to say, oh, like this metal container is more sustainable than that plastic container I use. And by now throwing away that plastic container and buying the metal container, you actually created more trash, you know, instead of using what you already have to now go and consume this more sustainable things, right? And I probably listen to way too many podcasts because you know, I listen to a lot of the environmental things, and I feel this urgency about, we are getting rid of permafrost, and it's like a direct result of all the things we're doing, right? So there are times where I'm like, okay, so even here, there is no curbside recycling. There is no place close by where I can bring recycling. I still have been collecting it. And when I go to San Diego, I take it with me and recycle it there. And then the question is it actually getting recycled? Do we have the facilities to recycle it? Or I'm just fooling myself, you know, going through all the extra steps of rinsing everything and
but you know, I think it's very kind of philosophical what I'm going to say, and yet I think it's so important so we find our own balance. You know, the trick to be content in our life and be happy is to find balance. So if we go in one way too high, it's too much. We go in other way, we go too high, it's too much as well. And so we do our part, we show the good path, but at the same time we don't drive us crazy about it. So if we start, the line is, when I put my little box in the recycling bin and it's picked up by the city, where does it go? And if we go down this road, it might be very depressing.
Yeah, it is.
So,
it actually is.
But you know, always think that it's where my philosophic aspect is coming, is that the ocean is made of thousands, billion of drops, and we are the drops, but we need the drop to make an ocean. So everything you are doing has impact in the world. So even today, people who are listening to us, and maybe we plant a seed, and say, oh, I never thought of that. Yeah. So the next time she asks me if I need a bag, I'm not going to use a bag. Can I recycle this little jar that I have home? Yes, I can recycle it. And then we plant the seed. So there is as much as we can carry on. We are not, the god Atlas who's carry the world.
Right, right.
So
I totally hear what you're saying, and I'm still feeling that I've planted seeds for a long time, and that it's kind of not enough to plant seeds anymore. And at the same time, I feel a little bit like now I only can think of the German word without answers in English. Maybe I'm sure there's a more elegant word to say it, because there are people which are very radical about their opinions. There is like whatever, Greenpeace used to be really radical and stuff like that, and I don't think that's impactful. It makes people want to go the other way. And I do feel often like Debbie Downer, you know who that is? It was like a Saturday Night Live character. And she would go like into every situation and find some negative about it. And, and I find it hard personally to enjoy the company of people which are so unaware. And I really try to find like a common denominator in something. And it's probably more pronounced right now because I'm in a place where I don't have a lot of people around me. So, so it's that much harder to find your tribe, to find people which have like the same ideas, preferences, or ideologies, whatever, And I have a lot of friends which will tell me all the time, well, you can't do it all, and that's just how it is, and we can't worry about it. But at the same time, I feel that's a little bit of a cop out to say, oh, I can't do anything, so therefore I'm just going to let it go. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
But I also get your point that I beat myself up too much, and then I'm completely useless.
Well, it's not that you are useless, it's just that you are suffering, and I think it's important that we do the best we can with a place of really love. Now, if I think of the world that we have to leave to our children, honestly, sometimes maybe I should not have kids.
I know.
But
tears.
Yeah, of course. But at the same time, in one way, my husband has kind of I don't know, maybe it's just a way thing because it's easier to think that way. But so that the human being is always finding solution when he's in front of a wall, right? I hope that is true about that, because so far I think that we are just in front of the wall, but people, they don't have the feeling we are in front of the wall and that we have to do something about it, right? So I hope that people will wake up and find solution, right? And okay, the day you feel so low, and I can understand that we have days we are feeling so low, just try to look at some news that are positive. There is people who are creating device, whatever is it called, with boat to clean the ocean. There is people who are creating how we can grow food with a minimum of water. So in Europe, they have, in Holland, do we say Holland in English? I don't know. Okay, anyway, so
there's Netherlands, Holland. Like Holland is part of the Netherlands.
Okay, so Netherlands. I think it's Netherlands. So they created a farm, but it's not on ground. It's just suspended. So they have but they are using much less water.
Right.
And why do they do that? Because they don't have a lot of land. So if they want to grow food, they have to go up
It's actually, we have said here too, there's like hydroponics farms and
Yeah.
aquaponics. And I thought you were going to talk about said, I think it's also in the Netherlands that they have been collecting the cow farts, which are responsible for global warming a lot. I mean, not by themselves, but they are contributing. And they are collecting it and turning it into a gas which can be used for heating. So I mean
Yeah.
that there's always solutions, and I absolutely believe in solutions. That was definitely one reason I got deeply involved in the permaculture world, which was kind of finding solutions to problems. But again, then I get overwhelmed with going, yeah, so we know how to do it better, but we are still doing all those things which are bad for the environment. There are days, I guess today is one of those days.
Yeah. But I think it's important just to remember how it is fundamental to find balance.
Yeah.
Because if you go too low, then you have to be depressed. If you are depressed, you cannot change the world, right?
Yeah, you pretty much can do anything when you're depressed, you know. It's like
Yeah.
everything becomes like too much.
It's why I insist on really on those days, see on the positive. And we don't have to carry the burden of the world in our shoulders. Most of most of people will become more and more conscious about the world, about themselves, about to create something beautiful. All those conscious people, they have those low days.
Yeah. I don't even know why I suddenly got to that low day, because we had sunshine. I was outside, I was hiking, I was doing like all those things which are good for you.
Yeah,
It's
but
like,
and I think that you it's at the end of the winter. It might have been a very long winter for you because it was not in San Diego. In San Diego, well, also even in San Diego, we had so much rain this year, right?
yeah.
But the end of the winter is also, or the change of the season are always emotionally a little draining.
So blame it on
yeah.
the weather. There we go.
Hey, sometimes what I like to do is that, wow, I feel so not good today. What is wrong with me? I say, you know what? Today is raining. Wow, tomorrow is going to be better. It's okay, because if we always carry everything within, sometimes you say it's where we go into anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think I would not say blame everything on the shoulder of others, because it's not the solution. Sometimes we have to take care and be responsible for ourselves. But sometimes it's okay. It's okay. Just, hey, you know what? I remember that it's not really the same subject, but I remember that it was last year after Christmas, the two boys went back to their life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting in my living room, and it was still a little messy, so I had to clean the house. And I was thinking, my house is feeling so empty. And I was really kind of very sad. And I was thinking, hey, Sophie, just sit with your sadness a moment. In 2 hours, you will get up, you will just clean your house, go back to your routine, and just move forward. But for now, just be sad a moment. Your children are gone. It's okay to be sad, And I gave myself 2 hours sitting on my sofa, brooding. And when I say, okay, it's okay, then, it's like kind of a mini grieving, if you want.
Right.
Yeah, and then I was starting to clean my house, and then my mood switched. Yeah, so it's why I say that I would not do that every single time, but at time to time you say, hey, just the weather. Tomorrow it will be better.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a thing, tomorrow always comes. And what you just said, I think is really true. That sometimes we just have to allow ourselves to grieve, for whatever it is, so whatever, it's the loss of your youth. Your
Yeah.
car not starting, which just happened to me yesterday, said it's like, okay, to just say, okay, it's fine. And then go
Yeah.
into what is the solution. I guess I tend to skip that part a lot and just want to go into solution. And then I overwhelm myself with solutions, if that makes sense. That's another topic. I'm very good at doing that, doing too many things.
Yeah. Too many
Yeah.
topic. But yeah, I think what did you just say? Can you repeat the last
Overwhelming
sentence?
myself with solutions.
Yeah, solutions and giving ourselves
To grieve.
time just to
Yeah.
be, to grieve, oh, it's weird to say that I'm grieving that I'm not useful anymore, something like that. And I would say that we grieve the part where we are at the end of something, but then we create something else, because now that we have this podcast, so maybe it's not the same podcast that you had before, Sustainable Living, but I find your company very a big enrichment for me.
Thank
so you are useful, but maybe in a different way. And I think that's part of, there is something that the human being, whatever we do, even we are afraid of evolution, the human being has a mind of constantly
Right.
evolving, right? And so if you say, well, in the direction we go, it's dangerous, maybe we should step back, with IA, right? It's what people
yeah,
the
right.
government are saying, oh, we should step back. And I think, well, I go back to what you said, Marianne, is that whatever we want to do, the mind is constantly evolving. But what we can do is find solution just to help to move into the right direction. So that's also another topic because it's huge. Do we move in the right direction? I don't know. But I think that also the more and more people live a conscious life, more and more people and more we have to move into the right direction, right? So I think that consciousness of how do I think, how do I eat, how do I live, yeah.
I definitely have learned that you can only change yourself. You can't change anybody else. You can offer solutions, but you can't make anybody do anything they don't want to do. And that's sometimes a hard one to accept too, especially if it's people close to you, right? Staying in your own consciousness, in your own, how do you maybe self-care mode when you're surrounded by people which are not necessarily practicing that or supporting it, is also a topic I'm struggling with at this point. So today is just a day of struggle. Even so, I started out saying I'm feeling good because the sun was shining, but it's not shining right now.
Well, and maybe it's a day that it's sometimes unburden ourselves is important. And so if we have someone who can listen to us without judgment, it's okay, right? So, and I'm sorry to bring that. I'm not really sorry, but at the same time, I don't want to be kind of too, I don't know, too much. But yesterday I was teaching yoga, and lately I take one, aphorism of the Yoga Sutra, and we meditate on it. And so the teaching of yoga is helping us to keep an open heart and a calm mind. The 4 keys to go there is to find kindness to the people who are happy, compassion for people who are less fortunate than us, honoring the people who have wisdom, and equanimity for those whose actions are not from our own values. I think that if I bring that up now, is that when we bring equanimity in ourselves, we are more calm. And as you said, when we are calm, we can find solution. But as long as we fight and we are hard on ourselves, hard on people who don't understand what we try to explain, then we are suffering, and we cannot have a calm mind and open heart, right? Sorry, boy.
Oh, that's for sure. I mean, if you get angry at people, it's pretty hard.
Yeah,
to be calm.
yeah.
Or open-minded for that,
Yeah.
it's like,
and you know,
pretty...
at the same time, it's like sometimes we need just to put your fist on the table and say, listen. And then sometimes after that, there is a conversation going on if both parts are agree to keep the conversation, right? And for me, I thought that every time I'm angry, it's just because I am overwhelmed with my emotions, and I am not ready to listen. And lately, I had the opportunity to really stand for myself, elevate a little the voice, and at the same time I was ready to listen. And so we had a conversation.
That's a good one. So I like for you to write down those things to meditate on and put them into our Patreon. So we actually have a Patreon account, and it's under what, Soma?
Explore Soma. Yes, I will make a little extra post for our patron,
because that's a good one to remember to get back to and go like, okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
Good.
I don't know if we said anything impactful today. I was just like going,
No, I think that's a type of conversation that a lot of people can relate, because at some point in our life, we can feel a little stuck that did I do enough in my life? Did I teach enough in my life? Did I have an impact in my life? And that really, well, it's very easy for me to say because I'm right in the middle of that. But there is a lot of empty nester mom that are asking this question, when the children are leaving. But I think that it can come at any time for a man, for a woman. When we say we have middle-age crises, it may be just that.
I think it is definitely has something to do with, I don't know who I was talking to about that, but like a lot of older people get really mad. And I wonder, well, part of it is definitely loneliness, and we have talked about it, and we will talk about it more. But I wonder if a lot of it is just like questioning, did I do the right thing in my life? Because I feel a lot of us, or maybe I just have to speak for myself, do things out of duty and not really because we want to do things, and finding that distinction between what is duty, what actually my heart wants me to do, so say should versus want to do, so I'm sure a lot of that is coming up, which fits right into the environmental angst as well, said, well, sometimes I would just like to not care, if that makes sense.
Oh my God, yes. When I was, I wonder I think it was when we started to do yoga together, and we went to San Diego, and I was listening to our teacher, Sashi, and he had a lot of wisdom. And so sometimes I was driving back home and I say, I just would like to be carefree and careless like most of the people, because when you are careless and carefree, right? So you don't ask yourself, is your action, if your words are good? You just live your life, right? You waste whatever you can waste, that you don't care, and for us, probably because coming from Europe, when you used to recycle everything all the time, when I was a child, my mother was fixing all my clothes, she was fixing my shoes,
yeah, for sure. I mean, we grew up with you save like gift wrapping paper, you undo the gift very carefully and you save the
Yeah,
paper.
and then you save the paper, I still do that,
Yeah,
And, for 10 years I have the same, little
right.
bag, but whatever. And I remember talking to someone who was living, well, she was Japanese, she
Mhm.
was Japanese, and she said that when she moved into United States, she was shocked by how many light we had in her
Yeah,
house.
yeah.
Because in Japan, you just have one
Right,
light,
right, right. Well, and this is definitely the thing said. We live in a country where life is very comfortable compared to anywhere in the
Oh,
world.
oh, yes.
Even if you don't have a lot of money, like really basic apartments are more comfortable than a lot of places anywhere else in the world. And it's very easy to get used to that level of comfort. And once you have said being comfortable, it's hard to go back because then it feels like you're giving up something. You're giving up
Mm,
a level of comfort, you're giving up, it's like here I'm living on the Navajo Nation now, and there are a lot of people still which don't have running water, which don't have electricity in the house, and definitely live way more sustainable than even I am. I mean, I'm have a computer going, I have a light going, the heater was on this morning. A lot of people don't have said luxuries, said
mm,
choice.
mm.
And I do appreciate being able to turn on the water.
Yeah. You said something very important, is that when we become consciousness, well, we have consciousness of what we are doing, we appreciate what we have, right?
Mhm.
And so instead of feeling guilty, we don't have to feel guilty because we have electricity. We are lucky and we appreciate to have electricity. Now, should we waste it? Probably
Right,
not.
right.
I really, where I was sending my child, go upstairs and stop the light in your room.
Mhm.
You don't go down and leaving a light behind you,
Right.
right? So I don't like to have light outside of my house in the evening.
Mhm.
Well, it might be good for security, but I will tell you, light or no light, if they want to come, they will come.
For sure.
So,
And then, we get to adding light pollution, destroying nature. So like also things become like big topics. I think we better stop
yeah,
because
sure. Yeah, no, because we have for 3 hours.
it could be a long time. Anyway,
So what is your takeaway from our conversation today?
so my takeaway is that I will walk around and appreciate all the comforts I have and feel very happy about it. And do some yoga
Yeah,
and do some freezing.
sure.
Yeah,
I think that my takeaway is being trying to bring balance in my life, not beating myself with all the negative,
right.
and also appreciate the positives that people are making.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Let
that's
go of
pretty
said
cool.
negative. Find some positive. Yeah. Like don't listen to news today. I'm not going to listen to find the good
Mm,
news channel. It's hard to find. But we can
mm.
find it. Thank you so much for sharing your precious time with us. We love to have a conversation with you, and there are several places you can reach us. One is Instagram, Explore Soma Podcast. That's mostly Marianne speaking to you there. On Facebook, there's a page, also Explore Soma Podcast, and Sophie is the one talking to you there. And then we have a Patreon account, Explore Soma Podcast. And both of us are hopping in and out, and we are really trying to build communities there. If you want to join us, we would love it. And of course, you can support us there, but you can also be there and be part of the conversation. If there is no money in your pocket to spare, we totally get that. Believe us, we have been there. Thank you so much. Take care until we meet again.